Good everybody, and welcome to Viaje ni Paul. And today we will explore some countries in the global north and global south. But before that, let's get ready. Definitely not this. This is perfect, and our first destination will be in the global north. The north of the divide comprises countries that have developed economies and account for over 90% of all manufacturing industries in the world. So now we are ready? Let's get started. And konnichiwa, we are currently here in the airport. This is our first trip and welcome to the land of the rising sun. Welcome to Japan. And oh, before I forgot, let us talk about Japan. Japan is one of the largest and most developed economies in the world. It has a well-educated, industrious workforce, and its large, wealthy population makes it one of the world's biggest consumer markets. Japan's economy was the world's second largest behind the US from 1968 until 2010 when it was overtaken by China. Its gross domestic product or GDP in 2016 was estimated to be $4.7 trillion and its population of 126 million enjoys a high standard of living with per capita GDP of just below $40,000 in 2015. With its phenomenal economic revival from the ashes of World War II, Japan was one of the first Asian countries to climb the value chain from cheap textiles to advanced manufacturing and services, which now account for the majority of Japan's GDP and employment. Primary industries, including agriculture, account for just 1% of GDP. From the 1960s to the 1980s, Japan achieved one of the highest economic growth rates in the world. This growth was led by high rates of investment and productive plant and equipment, the application of efficient industrial techniques, a high standard of education, good relations between labor and management, ready access to leading technologies, and significant investment in research and development, an increasingly open world trade framework, and of course, a large domestic market of discerning consumers, which has given Japanese businesses an advantage in their scale of operations. Japan has a parliamentary government with a constitutional monarchy. Now, the chief of state is the emperor, and the head of government is the prime minister. The emperor still holds his title as a symbol of national unity, but elected politicians hold actual decision-making power. Now, the nation with the third largest economy in the world, Japan has largely bounced back from the manufacturing disruption caused by the 2011 earthquake and tsunami disaster. Manufacturing has been the most remarkable and internationally renowned, a feature of Japan's economic growth. Today, Japan is a world leader in the manufacture of electrical appliances and electronics, automobiles, ships, machine tools, optical and precision equipment, machinery and chemicals, and this is why Japan is in the global north. And that's it. Our first trip has officially ended. Let's go to another country from the global south. An important characteristic of countries in the south is the relatively low GDP and the high population. The third world accounts for only a fifth of the globally earned income but accounts for over 3/4 of the global population. Another common characteristic of the countries in the south is the lack of basic amenities. As little as 5% of the population is able to access basic needs such as food and shelter. The economies of most countries in the south rely on imports from the north and have low technological penetration. The countries making up the south are mainly drawn from Africa, South America, and Asia, with all African and South American countries being from the south. Now let us go to our final destination. And now we are currently heading in our final destination. Not the movie, but a country. I'm very excited, so let's go. And touchdown. We are currently here in the poverty capital of the world, Nigeria. Okay, so what do I know about Nigeria? Nigeria is a third world country in Africa. It is known as the poverty capital of the world. The nation just exceeded India with the largest rate of people living in extreme poverty. Nigeria is overflowing with oil wealth. It is actually the sixth largest exporter of petroleum in the world. However, almost 100 million out of 200 million are living in poverty. While the nation is smaller both geographically and in terms of population, it is failing at lowering the rates of poverty. This is partly due to the mismanagement of the oil businesses and the presence of corruption. Along with this, the nation is going through a population boom, which will make managing poverty rates more difficult. So here are the top reasons for poverty in Nigeria. While Nigeria is known for its oil riches, the reality of the nation is that corruption, unemployment, and inequalities have destroyed the nation's economic framework, causing it to be the poverty capital of the world. Number 1. Corruption. Corruption is the major reason why poverty is at such a high rate in Nigeria. In fact, many economists have declared that it is the single greatest obstacle that prevents Nigeria from prospering. Corruption is present in the everyday lives of citizens, from businesses to the government. Consequently, poorer communities are suffering and the economic structure has experienced disruption. Second, unemployment. The high rates of unemployment also lead to extreme poverty. Unemployment typically exists among the younger population. In fact, only about 44% of young people have employment, leaving more than half of the population is unemployed. A major cause of unemployment is the fact that people tend to focus more on oil production rather than a variety of other industries. Not only does the country suffer from a lack of employment, but it also suffers from a lack of development, progress, and diversification of its industries. And also inequality. Along with the corruption and unemployment, another major driver of poverty in Nigeria is the presence of inequality within the nation. Nigerian women are subject to unequal treatment in terms of labor, education, and property. While about 79% of women make up the rural labor force, they are the least likely to own their property. Along with this, only about 6% of Nigerian women have achieved literacy. The rest are still illiterate. Inequalities in Nigeria are a result of poorly allocated resources and corruption. While Nigeria has plenty of resources, these resources are typically reserved for the wealthy who can afford it. Along with this, corruption within the government leads to further inequalities between the political elite and to those living in poverty. The country's government and economic elite have shown little effort to end poverty. Education and health spending makes up dismal 5 and 3% of the national budget, respectively, despite the government's oil revenue. Years of poor funding and neglect have caused illiteracy rates to be as high as 66%. Moreover, according to UNICEF, more than 10 million children are out of school in the country. The public healthcare system in Nigeria is unable to cover the Nigerian populace. Now in Nigeria, 3,000 women and children die each day because they lack access to basic healthcare. The infant and under 5 mortality rates remain especially high. HIV/AIDS in particular is a major problem with a prevalence of 4.4%. Approximately 2.9 million Nigerians live with the virus. The virus has already increased the orphan population in the country to 7 million. Labor laws in Nigeria are largely ineffective. The country's minimum wage is extremely low and there is a significant gender wage gap. The average female Nigerian worker makes $3,000 less annually than her male counterpart, $3,000 less. While the Nigerian government has launched a variety of programs to help those in poverty, its attempts have clearly not been strong enough. Due to the high price of corruption, unemployment, and inequalities, the nation's programs are failing to adequately lower the rates of poverty. Being the poverty capital of the world is not only impacting the country of Nigeria, but is also impacting the whole world. Nigeria is not living up to the UN's goal of freeing the world from poverty by the year 2050. Looking ahead, by reducing corruption and improving employment and educational opportunities, Nigeria can help its citizens get out of poverty. These steps will not only reduce the poverty rates, but will also help the nation prosper in other levels as well. Hopefully, Nigeria will lose its status as the poverty capital of the world. And so that ends today's episode. And once again, this is hashtag Biyahe ni Paul. See you to our next episode.